was born and raised in Chicago. I'm the baby out of 7 sisters and 6 brothers. When I was 15, my brother gave me some beer and some marijuana, and I found myself at a very young age using and drinking. And I knew it was nothing that I wanted to do because liquor used to always have me down, and drugs, with me being 15, 16 years old, using cocaine and drinking. Everybody used to look at me like, what are you doing? My other sisters and brothers, the ones that never wanted me to use or drink, they used to always say, what are you doing? You have to cut this out. I met my wife, and she became pregnant, and I knew I had to try to start growing up, So I wanted to get away from Chicago because I was trying to blame everything on the city and my brother that did that when it was my choice. I moved to Las Vegas. My mom, she was living out here, and she suggested that I come to Las Vegas for a little while and check it out and see how it was. Came out here to Las Vegas, and right away it was the gambling, the drinking. It was a wild life. I had some bad years using and drinking, real bad years, to where I lost good jobs. I couldn't pay the rent, and me and my wife, we were going through it. She was like, wow, she's a school teacher, and I was driving trucks, and we were making good money, but when I get fired off a job, it would all fall on her. And I always knew that I had to do something about it, and I really did. I always knew about God, but I didn't know God, so I have a big sister that she used to always tell me, you should try to start praying, and you should try to get baptized and build a relationship with God, And I used to look at her like, how am I going to build a relationship with God and drink and use drugs,
Well, I'm the second youngest of 8 kids. When I started drinking when I was about 8 years old, give or take, right around there. It didn't really get to be daily until maybe 16 or 17, and that's when all heck broke loose, so to speak, and it was just one thing led to another so quick that I enjoyed getting high and drunk more than not, why I did, I don't know. It just the way it was for me. I got out of the service and I decided I was going to hitchhike cross country, and I did that for 2.5, 3 years, and I come back home and I met my first wife. I was 21, I think, somewhere around there, and I was still partying real heavy. And we got married 2 weeks after we met. And to be quite honest with you, I married her because she owned a home and I needed a place to stay. That's the kind of person I was. I went to Oklahoma. I was there for 6 years plus. I was drinking and drugging the whole time I was there. I got to the point where there were certain bars I'd go to, people would get out of my favorite stool when I walked in. That's how often I was going into these places. My jobs ran out when the last place I had was working in a furniture store, and the guy closed the business. So I was on unemployment, and I decided that I was going to leave Oklahoma then, because things wasn't looking the way I wanted them to, basically. I got drunk one night, and when I came to, I was on a bus to Vegas, so I guess I was coming to Vegas. I got here, I was here 3 days, and I knew, I knew this town wasn't going to do nothing but keep me drunk and broke, plain and simple. And I was tired, I was so tired. I look in the mirror, I didn't see anything anymore, And I got here 3 days after here, I got to the mission, and I did my 2 weeks, and they were talking about the program, so I said, maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's time to give up. Or as my mom says, time to grow up, and I decided to make the commitment to do that.
My mother had me when she was 16, and they were, considered hippies. So I grew up in a drug-related home, so drugs weren't nothing uncommon. And I moved in with my uncle all the time as a very young child and started dealing drugs at the age of 10. And that's basically what I evolved most of my life around. So my mother, after my little sister was born, started using drugs, and it started affecting the way that she acted, to the point that we didn't have anything to eat, and that turned out being my fault. My mom wanted me to go make money for the family at the age of 10, and if I didn't, she would actually be pretty mean about it. So I grew up real quick, hopped on a hemp semi-truck, and went out to Phoenix, Arizona, and lived with my boyfriend, which was a drug dealer. Our house got raided. I ran out the back door. He didn't. During that time, he had some felony charges, and his uncle owned a door-to-door business. So we traveled around the country and sold cleaner door-to-door. And I did that for 16 years. We didn't have to be over 18 to have that job. So at 15, I started that, and I was making about $200 a day. So I was spending most of that on drugs. So I only weighed about 89 pounds most of my life. And then I had my first daughter at the age of 18. When I had her, I cleaned up a little bit, but when it was time to pay the bills, if I was going to be short, I would again turn to prostitution or dealing drugs to make sure she wasn't out on the street or hungry. After that, I had 2 more daughters, and like I was saying, abusive relationships, things got dangerous for my kids, and I gave them up to better their lives.
If you could see me from 1 year ago and you see me now, you would probably walk right past me. You probably wouldn't even know it was me. And doing the Genesis program is they let you know that you have to make a choice. You know, it's a spiritual program, and if you put God first and you make the right decisions, you make the right choices, I don't see that you'll go wrong. I don't see me going wrong. As long as I stay with my support group, I think I'll do pretty good this time. I mean, I made a decision that I don't want to drink and use drugs anymore. And I asked Jesus to help me with that. I knew about Jesus, but I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. I didn't know Jesus like I know him now. Jesus became real to me when I asked him to take it away from me, to take the pain away from me. Because when I was using drugs and alcohol, I was in so much pain, and there was a hole that needed to be filled, and I thought I could fill it with liquor and drugs and sex and rock and, it was just I thought I was a rock star out there trying to party when I get off of work, and couldn't afford it, I'm glad my son didn't get mixed up in that, and that's when Jesus became real to me. I got on my knees and I said, Jesus, I've been hearing so much about you throughout my life. My sisters and brothers, they told me, Jesus is real. Jesus loves you. But I didn't understand what they were saying.
Since I've been here, I've got God in my life. I can't say I got God back in my life because I kept him out the whole time. When I was younger, I didn't. I always believed that there was somebody out there. And now I know there is, because somebody had to be out there with me to keep me protected, to get me where I am today. I don't have the cravings anymore I used to have, and the cravings I have now are more to do good, and be a better person. I got the opportunity to work in the kitchen for the year I've been here. When I first got in the kitchen, it was rough, working with a crew. I'm not used to working with the crew, but since I stuck with it and I tried to apply the lessons I learned through the classes, I managed to become the OJT, on swing shift, and I get to work with the guys today. It's an honor to work with them today, and it's not a task. But the classes helped me out tremendously. The Genesis process, the book, the pray out. Man, my pray out it was awesome. It was an amazing feeling. It was like things just left. It was like a big weight lifted off my shoulders. Christ became real to me actually when I was about 2 months after I got here, and I was listening to Pastor Walt. Pastor Walt's one of them kind of guys. He's straightforward, and he comes out of the Bible. And I'd been reading the Bible, but he'd read a passage. He was preaching on a passage that I was reading the day before that day, and he put it in words where I could understand it.
I was driving down the road. I knew there was a rescue mission here. I had a job at the time, but my boss, I didn't really want to work for anymore. And I knew I would always turn to the same thing. So I knew I had to have a complete life transformation. At the time, I was indifferent. I was spiritually bankrupt. I just needed time to think and find the Lord. And that's really what the mission did to me. I've joined things like AA, so I've completed my steps with that. And, just really admitted that I did have a drug problem all those years. and all those body aches and all those kind of things I gave to the Lord. So I really just feel brand new. A big thing with me is I'm an overachiever, if it's even overachieving in the wrong thing. So I was blessed with a scholarship here from the mission. I know that'll keep my mind really off the drugs, because a big thing for me is having to make money. I came in with a lot of uncertainty, so I asked the Lord for His mercy and to wash my hands, of that uncertainty of this world. And here He just shows me that no matter what, He's going to be there, showing me all those different, how His mercy works, how His grace works. As I've been at the mission, we went through a lot of classes that showed me how the Lord works through recovery, and the biggest thing with that is forgiveness. Asking for forgiveness for the things that I've done. And as the time of me being here at the mission, I have forgiven myself for the things that I've done. And again, forgiven my uncertainty. The decisions that I made for the better really were for the better. Before, though, I would take a drink to forget the decision that I made.
Right now, I'm working with Millennium Temporary Service. They're working me, here and there, but I'm still looking for that permanent job. I'm not done. I'm definitely leave it in God's hand, and I know He'll bless me with a permanent job. I don't want a stressed out job anymore. I worked a lot of jobs out here in Las Vegas since I've been out here, but I just want a nice job where I can make me a little money and, get my life back together. And the only one that I know that can do that is Jesus.
Right now, it looks like I'm looking into trucking, maybe long haul trucking for a while. Either that or construction. Get back into construction. I know there's something out there for me, but I got to be patient enough to find it. I got to make sure that I don't lose my patience and walk away from something before it happens.
I'm going to really just extend my education, which has always been a dream of mine. I didn't get to finish school. I dropped out when I was 15. I always felt that I wasn't really human. I knew there was that blockage between me and other people. I was always labeled, the drug dealer my whole life, or the drug user. So I always thought, well, if I had an education, I wouldn't have to do these things. And that might be a lie, but that's the survival I'm going with. And so I have been granted the scholarship, and I'm taking up veterinarian technician. It's about 2.5 years. I find that to be really interesting to me, and I'm pretty sure I can stay with that field and continue on with it.